G'day, g'day. This is Cece from Generation Wellness Global, and today I wanted to share a few thoughts about fairy tales and fantasy and make-believe. And so if your kids are watching, maybe watch this later. Maybe watch this later. This is one for us as parents to really think about. So in my house, we've generally stayed away from all of that stuff, and people think that's really odd of me. And I understand, a lot of people want their children's childhood to be full of magic and so the thing is, what I feel is we lose the magic, the miracles that are really there, because we're looking at artifice for the magic and the make-believe and stuff. And so I chose never to lie to my children. I chose never, not even for the, for reasons that feel really beautiful and magical and all those sorts of things. And I understand that we want to fill their lives with goodness and joy. And I did have a child that is very straight thinker, straight talker, and I knew that child would not cope and would feel betrayed. So that was partly a personality choice and partly a belief choice. But I do think if you look at, because I do a lot of work clearing spiritual issues with children, and the problem is, when I try and get them to do the spiritual work, they can go off into this whole fantasy story instead of addressing the spiritual issue that's actually, and the spiritual power that comes from working with Jesus Christ and their angels and things that are really there because they can't differentiate. And so one of the things that I've spoken to parents about, and with, like I said, I totally understand. And it's just, I'm not saying that I have the solutions. It's just something that I was always aware of, and I thought, really, I'm going to take this really different strategy with my kids because it doesn't feel right to me. And one thing that I've found is, when you put Santa Claus and God in the same basket, believing in things that we can't see, which is what faith is. Faith is believing in that which we can't see, but which we know to be true. Well, we get a bit muddy around the know to be true thing if we grow up and get told that some of those things were less true, and then we want the children to believe in something else that is true, but they can't see it, and now they've found out all of this stuff that may be less true, and they tend to shut down to all of it. And I think that's somewhere we really need to be careful and aware. And it totally depends on the family and their foundation and so many other things. So you have to do what's right. But I've come across parents who have never thought about it this way. And I have worked with children who are really struggling with spiritual stuff because they don't want to reach out to Jesus or to God, because they put it in that same basket of, can I really trust this? How do I, and they really start to shut down to it. And, they'd rather call on their good witch or their, fairy godmother or someone. And so I think we have, the beauty is, and maybe the deception is as well, that there are angels ministering to us, and there is a spiritual reality all around us. And we are spiritual beings here having a physical experience, and miracles are real and they happen if you pay attention and if you pray. Prayers are answered, and there's so much beauty and majesty and miraculous happenings all around us all the time. But when you start life believing in things that are less true, and then you grow up finding out that those things in that other alternate reality realm fantasy is not true, then you tend to come to cling to what is solid and science. And unless you can prove it to me, I'm not going to believe. And so we really run the risk of shutting them down to so much that is there, that is miraculous and beautiful and amazing, when they have that connection to their true source, their true creative, divinative power and origin, and all that other stuff. And so it's just something I wanted to bring to your awareness, maybe start some conversations or some reflections, because some people are just like, oh, I never thought of it that way. So I thought I would kind of put it here and go, have you thought of it this way? What's your experience? How did you step through this? And I'm sure for some people it's really easy. They've got a really solid foundation. They know where they are at and what their family beliefs are and what their personal experiences are. But there are a lot of others who get lost or deceived or led away or shut down to it. Really a lot that shut down to it. Shut down to their gifts, shut down to the miracles around them, shut down to the help and support that is there from the spiritual realm. And certainly that was my experience when I was younger. I really shut down to it for a lot of personal reasons that happened throughout my childhood. And I think too, you can remember, a lot of people can remember an experience in their childhood when they were ridiculed for believing in something, and then you grow up not wanting to be ridiculed. And then when you believe in, I've said to people about my faith and they're like, oh, so you believe in this fairy in the sky? And I'm like, well, yes and no. I don't consider God to be a fairy, but yes, I do believe in him. I have a lot of very personal, real experiences that help me to know that that is true. But how do you discern, how do you differentiate between what is true and what is not true when we're brought up being so muddled by the things of the world, the other things that are just supposed to be lighthearted and fun and magical and all those sorts of things. It's a fine line to walk, and I'd love to hear your experience and how that worked for you or didn't work for you, or and like I said, I had a child who was like, oh, she is not going to cope if she finds out one day that I wasn't forthcoming with the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So I knew that was something that I needed to be really careful with. And so they got, every year after Christmas, they got really hard questions, and they'd look at me and go, I don't know how to answer this question, because we didn't do all the normal things that a lot of people do at that time of year. But we did go into the history of it, and we really used that as a learning opportunity to look at different traditions and where these things come from, and like the beautiful things that we can do to gift others at Christmas. And we really look to finding our own family traditions that are really beautiful about what Christmas is for us, which is such a special time of year, and Easter as well. We really wanted to honor our beliefs at that time and not buy into other things that might distract us from that. And that's just been our choice and our path and our, so I'd love to hear your experiences and how you've navigated that line between the spiritual realm, which is very real, but then the fantasy, make believe, magic kind of stuff that we're brought up being told to believe in, and then being told that that's just childish. And you know, it's a challenge. And yeah, we've all got to walk that path as parents and find our way through, and nobody wrote the handbook. But it's I hope that that's just my experience, and some things that I've found, because I do work in that emotional and spiritual healing realm now, and that's something that I've really noticed impacts children and all of us, obviously, because if it impacts us as children, we bring that through life. So it is something to really sit with and contemplate and find how it's affecting or has affected you and your children, and your willingness to connect with and believe in the beautiful things that are there for you spiritually. And yes, please get in touch. Love your questions. Love to hear your experiences and understanding. And have an awesome, awesome day. I am about to head outside because it is sunny and it's so rare now that you've got to take every opportunity. So have a beautiful, blessed day, and see you again soon, guys. Bye.